God's grace and peace to you, friends. Here we enter into the 5th week of Lent as we continue on with the story of Pilate and Jesus and their, conversation, shall we say. As we walk closer and closer to crucifixion and then that glorious Easter morn, I invite you to be aware of all of the ways that we buy into systems that harm others, even with good intentions. For until we can learn to love one another, we got a long way to go. So as we get ready, I invite you to take a deep breath, prepare your hearts, and let us worship together.
This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice. And be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Our reading for the 5th week of Lent comes from John chapter 19. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they dressed him in a purple robe. And they kept coming up to him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" and then striking him in the face. Pilate went out again and said to them, "Look, I'm bringing him out to you to let you know I find no case against him." So Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, and Pilate said to them, "Behold the man." When the chief priests and police saw him, they shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said, "Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no case against him." The Jews answered, "We have a law, and according to that law he ought to die, because he is claimed to be the Son of God." Now when Pilate heard this, he was more afraid than ever. He entered his headquarters again and asked Jesus, "Where are you from?" But Jesus gave him no answer. Pilate therefore said to him, "Do you refuse to speak to me? Do you know that I have the power to release you and the power to crucify you?" Jesus answered him, "You would have no power over me unless it had been given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to release him, but the Jews cried out, "If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against Caesar." When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus outside and sat on the judge's bench to a place called the Stone Pavement, or in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Now it was the day of preparation for the Passover, and it was about noon. And he said to the Jews, "Here is your king." And they cried out, "Away with him! Away with him! Crucify him!" Pilate asked him, "Shall I crucify your king?" And the chief priests answered, "We have no king but Caesar." Then he handed him over to be crucified. Here ends our reading.
What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul. What wondrous love is this, O my soul. glorious round. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul, for my soul. Christ laid aside his crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. Will God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am, while millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing on. And when from death I'm free, I'll sing and joyful be. And through eternity, I'll sing on, I'll sing on. And through eternity, I'll sing on.
We love a good villain, don't we? We revel in the lines of films that have, well, some unfriendly pieces like, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Or, I'm going to alter the deal. Pray I don't change it any further. Or, say hello to my little friend. Or one of my absolute favorite villain lines, as Scar holds Mufasa's paws up, he lets go and says, "Long live the king," as he lets his brother fall to his death. Villains, for all of their flaws, they have that whatever it takes kind of an attitude. They will do anything to accomplish their goals. Villains know who they are, and they have no delusions of their goodness. They live freely and unconstrained by rules and obligations. They just simply know who they are. And like it or not, we don't always hate the fact that they aren't who we're supposed to be. We sometimes revel in the badness, in the misery that they cause. Pilate, the chief character in our story today, is one of those villains. Jerusalem is smoldering all around him. Two different men, Barabbas and Jesus, have been arrested for capital offenses on the eve of a major festival, which pulls him from his seaside home into the heart of a Jewish city. Pilate's come to oversee, if you will, the festivals with expanded military presence because it's required during Passover. If the early historians are to be trusted, Jerusalem had been a persistent thorn in his side from the day he took power. He cannot seem to satisfy the priests he's in charge with watching, nor the people, nor the Roman authorities who oversee him, like Herod Antipas, his direct supervisor, not even the emperor, Tiberius, the son of Augustus and grandson of Julius Caesar. Pilate has this immense amount of power and immensely powerful patrons, but he does not understand what Jesus is all about. Nor does he understand what the Jews, his own people, these charges they've brought against him. Everyone around Pilate regards Jesus as a threat. But Pilate cannot figure out why. So Pilate finds himself in a bind. He cannot manage Jesus, nor can he control the angry crowds outside his doors. And the situation is reaching a boiling point. What do you do when you have that kind of power and responsibility? The late Chadwick Boseman from the Black Panther franchise made a profound statement after he finished the first movie. He looked at the arc of the villain of the story, a kid whose life had gone south and instead of love for others, just wanted revenge against everyone. He wrote, "The only difference between a hero and a villain is the villain chooses to use power in a way that is selfish and hurts other people." The villain chooses himself over all others, no matter the cost. And this is exactly how Rome operates. The worldly powers that Pilate represents are all about self-preservation. Pilate and Rome will make any choice to secure their position and power, regardless of the damage it causes for everyone else. But Jesus, on the other hand, will choose love, even at the cost of his own life. If our choices were between such obvious binaries as good and evil, this would be easy. But you and I know better, because everything comes in a shade of gray. While this story ultimately leads to the crucifixion of one who Pilate finds no reason to execute, I think we are well served to look at how the power plays exist in the Gospel of John. Because it is clear, based on how the situation is described in the Gospel, that we are to view Pilate and Rome, as well as the Jewish leadership, the Pharisees and high priests, as the villains, while Jesus and his crowd are the heroes. We're to see the villain's actions as bad and Jesus' actions as good. So let's start with this caricature, because it is a caricature of these people, of the leaders of the temple, the Jewish people, of Pilate, and of Rome. It's not a secret that John, at least the author of John, and pretty much the rest of Scripture, don't look kindly upon the leadership of the temple system and their Roman overlords. The Pharisees are mostly portrayed as leaders who are more concerned about their order that they have imposed on others, that keeps them in power with wealth and prestige, than they are concerned about the regular Jews that they are tasked with leading. They want control, obedience, not life. When Jesus does something that the people see as a miracle, that lines up with their own prophecies, they find fault because, well, it's on the Sabbath. They can never run short of reasons why Jesus is at fault. Why? Why would a group of leaders who claim that they fight for all that Jesus stands for, the ones who claim that this is what they live their lives for, fight against the very thing they say they want? We can find a lot of reasons in general, of course, but John points to one specific rationale. They're bullies. They define their worth based on their power and their prestige, what other people think of them. So as long as the people look to them for leadership, they have value. And if they don't, they'll do whatever it takes to get it back. And Jesus comes in like a wrecking ball. He says, you don't need them to be connected with God, to live a life worthy of the divine. You might guess it rubs them the wrong way, that they're somehow no longer needed to maintain order for other people. Their fear of losing their power, their privilege, their prestige, well, it causes them to lash out to maintain it no matter the cost to anyone else. Why are the rules so hard for ordinary Jews? Blame Jesus. He's at fault. Why is Rome oppressing Israel? Blame Jesus. It's his fault. If they can label him an enemy and blame them for all of their own issues and failures, then they win. Because this is what bullies do. And so we switch gears over to the villain Pilate, a cog in this imperial machine where right and wrong have no value, just loyalty to Caesar and his demands. Pilate knows that, and he enters into that relationship where he either protects the emperor and his cronies, or he pays the price, losing his power, his prestige, and probably his life. If his loyalty to his overlords is not seen and proclaimed and known by them, it's likely the emperor will utterly destroy him, because Pilate's seen it time and time again. Don't speak out against the emperor. Whatever the emperor says is right, even if you know it's wrong. Pilate then has a great villainous proclamation to Jesus. Do you refuse to speak to me, he says. Do you not know that I have the power to release you or the power to crucify you? Pilate right away goes straight to his power to compel Jesus to do his bidding. And he'll use the threat of violence if necessary. In all of this, though, John keeps coming back to remind us that Pilate is afraid. He knew all too well that the biggest of the bullies would take it out on him if he did not do his bidding. If he did not keep the peace in Jerusalem, Caesar would end him. And the Pharisees, who were also bullied by Rome, bullied by Pilate, then threaten him with his own threat, the only thing he's actually afraid of. The Pharisees say to him, if you release this man, then you are no friend of Caesar. Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against Caesar. And so Pilate, who is bought into this system, the system of power and control, must impose rules on others, even though wrong, if he wants to save his own skin. Maybe you know the line from Gandhi, an eye for an eye only makes the whole world blind. The system of power that Pilate and the Pharisees have bought into, the ones that keep them in their positions, regardless of their personal intentions, even if they started out good, demands violence to keep the system going. So when Pilate asks the Pharisees, shall I crucify your king? They respond, we have no king but Caesar. And so the cycle continues. Rome bullies and scapegoats the Pharisees, who bully and scapegoat Jesus. But instead, this is where the system stops. It is broken open because Jesus says, I will not comply. I will not bully other people. I will not use my power and to incite violence upon other people. It's a full stop. A breaking of this system wide open for all to see. But only if we have the courage to stand up for what is right and not what is easy. Jesus, throughout this entire encounter, is mostly passive, speaking here and there. He does not engage in the eye for eye thinking. In fact, he says, my followers will not incite violence. He does not use violence to fight back in the least. In fact, when Peter pulls out a sword, Jesus offers healing. Jesus chooses the better way, the way and the example that we have been called to follow, to live out our very daily lives in service of the way of love. The way of love sounds naive and foolish because it's not the way the world works. Yeah, it doesn't. But submitting to the system of violence that exists in this world just to get along, while it might be easy, it takes no moral backbone. You just have to submit and be loyal to the empire, not Jesus. The reality is, Servants are a reflection of their master. Servants of Caesar are known by their violence. The servants of Jesus says, everyone will know us by our love. Whether or not you believe it, the way of love is so much harder because it requires your very being, all that you have and all that you are. It requires you to think of others before yourself, to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. The way of love is all-consuming, and it's not a bit about you or me. Does your life in word and deed reflect your citizenship in this alternate kingdom from above, where the servants of God's beloved one are nonviolent, vulnerable lovers of friends and foes? Or do our words and our actions suggest that our first allegiance is to something or someone else? A nation, a political party, a religious institution? As we move toward the cross, we have all been called to look more deeply at that example of love before us, who even at the loss of his own life was willing to love to the very bitter end. I'm not calling for you to become a martyr, but rather to the best of your ability to respond to all people you encounter with love. Not bullying, not violence, not scapegoating. To walk away from the system that says violence is the answer means that you willingly and knowingly choose the way of Christ, the way of unending mercy and forgiveness, of offering grace to those who have not nor will not earn it. It means that you choose the way of the cross, Christ's love poured out. It means that we work together to fight the systems of bullying, of violence, of scapegoating, not with a sword or a bomb, but with all that we are for the sake of the kingdom of God. For if you and I are called and proclaim ourselves to be followers of the one who gave up his life for the sake of love, then we are called to do no less. May you find ways to love more fully, to question those that would ask you to perform violence on others, so that together we may build up this beloved community of God. Amen.
When I survey the wondrous cross on which the Prince